right, we're going to just talk briefly about the Excel environment. And if you've had a previous Microsoft class or previous experience with Word or PowerPoint, a lot of the information is going to be the same. Some will be a little bit different. So I just want to make sure that we have a working vocabulary moving forward. From the top of the screen, we have our banner or our file name, no different than any other Microsoft. Mini toolbar up here, upper left hand corner, save button, undo, so on. Those are the same. Our top level tabs may be a little bit different, and we're going to access these various tabs as we move forward into the lessons. But as far as tabs goes, there they are right there. It's just like you would see in Word or PowerPoint. We have the ribbon, of course, from left to right. And inside of a ribbon, we have groups such as font group, alignment group, number group. And you notice on the Home tab for Excel, the formatting like font and alignment look very similar to what you would see in Microsoft Word, almost identical. All right, same as the clipboard over here. On the Home tab, we get into things like number and styles, which are going to look a little bit different for Excel than they would with other software. But the same principle as far as groups is concerned would be the same. Dialog box launchers, bottom right hand corner of each group. Click on one of those dialog box launchers and they take you to additional command structure. It's very similar to what you would see in Word or PowerPoint. Okay, and so that pretty much does it with the basic stuff at the top. But then as we get below the ribbon, we start getting into some new things. First of all, over here where you see it says A1, that's called the name box. And the name box reveals a couple things. It'll reveal what cell you're currently in. Now, when I say cell, I'm referring to a block of data in Excel. And a cell is where a column, signified by a letter, and a row, signified by a number, meet. It's a block of data. Now, the block of data could be a number, it could be formatting, it could be a formula. When I say formatting, I should say words. It should be like text. It could be text, formula, number, something like that we're putting information into. All right, that's a cell. We can change the width and the height and all that kind of stuff of a cell as we move forward. And we refer to a cell by its address, by the letter first and then the number. So cell A1 up here in the name box, once again, my tooltip, when I put my mouse pointer over that particular part of my worksheet, it shows that it is the name box. And if I go over here to D2, it shows up here as D2 in my name box. I'm now in column D and row 2. So that's the name box. Back to A1. All right. We're going to talk about the check mark up here, or the check box, whereas you enter information into a cell. All right. The check mark is essentially the enter button up here. And the enter button records information in your particular cell that you're entering. So I put my name into that cell and I hit the enter button up here, it records it. All right. And when I say the enter button in Excel, not to be confused with the enter key on your keyboard. The enter button will record whatever you've put into your cell and it will enter that and get ready for whatever's next. All right. If, by the way, to edit a cell, so if I want to go back and change this, I could go back and hit function key 2. I'm in cell A1. I want to edit it. If I click on function key 2 at the top, that puts me back into edit mode. All right. Maybe I want to come in here and put my middle initial in here or something like that. All right. Now if I hit the enter key on my keyboard, it'll not only enter the information or record the information in that cell, but it'll take me to the next cell down. That's kind of the difference between the enter button in Excel and the enter key. One thing we're going to deal a lot with is the function wizard. That's this FX up here. When you put your mouse pointer on it, the tooltip calls it insert function. And this gives us access to a lot of different functionality of Microsoft Excel. And 80% of what you're going to be doing in Excel has to do with functions, summing and averaging and sum ifing and all that kind of stuff. All kinds of functions, VLOOKUP. That's just to name a few. All right. There's a whole bunch of different functions out there you will utilize in Excel. And you can either go click on search for a function up here in your search for a function type, or you can look for a function by category. So we're going to be spending a lot of our time using that insert function, which again I call the function wizard, or something that will walk you through and kind of hold your hand as you develop a formula, all right, a formula in your worksheet in Excel. So that's the function wizard, or if you want to call it insert function, that little FX button on your worksheet, okay? And over here is what's called the formula bar. And the formula bar is kind of a duplicate of what's going over here in the cell. And up here in the formula bar, this has a detailed listing of all of the contents of the particular cell that I'm in. And so as you enter information into a cell, you'll see it up here in the formula bar. You can actually do your editing up here from the formula bar and actually hit enter if you want to up here on the formula bar. Okay, so we're going to spend a lot of our time working with the formula bar, insert function, the enter button, and the name box. Let's talk about navigation really quick. A bunch of different ways you can navigate in your worksheet. You can click on the arrow keys. So right arrow takes you over a cell, left arrow to the right, down arrow, up arrow. If you hold down, like if I go to my right key and hold it down, it skips through pretty quick. Hold my left key down, it skips through pretty quick. I hold my down arrow and just hold it down. I hold my up arrow and hold it down. So your arrow keys obviously are one way to navigate in your worksheet. Page down goes down a whole page of cells, about 20 to 25, depending on what kind of a zoom level you have. Page down, page up. Where you can hold down the page down key, hold down the page up key, and you move through a lot of cells. Now, some of you are going to want to play around and go, well, Reardon, how big is my worksheet? Okay, here you go. Are you ready? Let's get it out of our system. If you hold down your end key, END, and then hit the right arrow, so if I go end right, it takes me over to column XFD. That's a lot of columns. Then what's the last row in my worksheet? Hold down your end key, hit the down arrow. Let's try that again. Whoops, and right, sorry about that, and down, there we go. Takes me down to row 1,048,576. Here's what I get. I get students that when they want to hit the down arrow and just hold it down. How far is it going to go? Now, just so you know, the biggest worksheet I ever worked with was when I was creating a calculation monthly financial accounting entry worksheet for Seneca Foods National Office, and it had 60,000 rows in it. That's the biggest one I ever built. I never got down to row 1 million. I'm going to go over here up and end up and end left, go back to where I started. Okay, that's another way you can navigate. All right, is your end whatever key. You can obviously click on cells in your worksheet. Click on cells, go to different areas of your worksheet. All right, or you can hit the F5 key. F5 key. You can say F5. I want to go to cell Z200, and OK. There it takes me. So F5 is another way to navigate. If you have a really big worksheet, you can do that. I'm going to hit the home key again, and I'm going to hit end up again. Go back to A1. All right. So that's different ways of navigating. If you didn't have Word, Microsoft Word, AutoFit is another term we use where you put your mouse pointer between two columns. Like in here, I've got my name and it's slopping over. It looks like it's partially into cell B1, which it really isn't. But if I want to make my column in A just a little bit wider than my name, put my mouse pointer between A and B and double click. And we learned that in Microsoft Word. That makes that column just a little bit wider than the widest entry. I can also change my column width by putting my mouse pointer between A and B. Left click and hold, and I can drag to the right, drag to the left, so on. If I want to make my row bigger, put my mouse pointer between my rows, get that little crosshair, left click and hold, and drag up drag down and drag up, changes my row height. All right. And we will get into editing features like that. We'll get into something called autofill, where you can copy a formula over um, between cells. Very handy feature in Microsoft Excel. You don't have to build a formula for every single cell in your worksheet. You can copy formulas from one cell to the next. And zoom levels here in the bottom right hand corner. So there's zoom out, just like Word and PowerPoint. Zoom in. Okay. It doesn't actually change the size of your text. It just changes how big you see things on your worksheet. And as we work through lessons, I might change my zoom periodically. And I can either click on the zoom out or zoom in buttons, or I can just take that slider and drag it one way. Wow, that is really small. Drag it another way. That's really big. And then back to 100%. Okay, so I can zoom out. Our views are similar to Word. We have page layout view and page break view. So we're going to get into both of those in future lessons. I like to keep it on normal if at all possible. Okay. And what else do we need to know? We will have interactive tabs in Excel, which will appear up here on our top level tabs. Say we were editing a picture or something like that, or a table in Excel, and it'll show those interactive tabs, which appear when we need them, and they go away when we don't. The other thing is very similar, like in Word, where we have what's called Live Preview. So I put my mouse pointer up here on my font color button, for example, and I run my mouse pointer over my color palette. It shows me what my cell is going to look like if I were to select that particular option. And we call that, again, Live Preview. That's the same as all the other Microsoft suite of products. Live Preview. Okay? And the other thing I just want to accentuate with Excel, and the whole point of Excel is it's really one big calculator. And so let's go back to my Microsoft days working with Cellular One franchise here in the late 90s. And we had with Kyle Mussman, who ended up rebuilding the Marcus Whitman Hotel. He was like a numbers guy, and our budgets at Cell One were like 28 pages long. And they had like 500 some lines in them. Okay? And they had tons of formulas in them. And we actually had employees that would work on various elements of our budget and do research on, like, how much was our subscription fees for the year, and how much are they going to be budgeted for this year, or how many subscribers are we going to have as far as cellular customers goes. And we had like 62,000 customers and things like that. But anyway, my point is that if you changed one number, and again, we had a column for every month of the year. We had, like I said, 28 pages of line detail, 500 some lines of detail in our budget. If you changed one cell or the value of one item in your worksheet, I'll get into worksheets here in a moment, the whole thing would recalculate. All the subtotals, all the grand totals, all the column totals. And that's the beauty of Excel, is it is a living, fluid model that when you change one number, once you build an Excel model and you change one number, the whole model can recalculate almost instantaneously. It's like a miracle. That's probably the coolest thing I've ever experienced with Excel. Its ability to crank out and recalculate a series of numbers in a very quick period of time. Now, I said worksheets and workbooks. So worksheets, right now I'm in a worksheet. Here's my tabs, my worksheet tabs down here. And this is called my tabs area. So I'm in sheet 1. And I could double click on this and call this name. Enter. So I'm in my name worksheet. I could create a second worksheet and double click on that. And I could call this data. And this could be a second worksheet. I'm just messing around right now. Okay. So we have worksheets. We can have all kinds of worksheets in a model like this. I've had Excel models that have 50 worksheets in them. And all of those worksheets together, if I look up at the banner up here at the top, it says Book 2 up here at the extreme top. That is what's called a workbook. A workbook would be like a computer file that holds a series of worksheets. If you want to add another worksheet, you just click on this plus button and it creates yet another worksheet. Now if I want to move that, we're going to get into all this stuff later, but if I want to move that worksheet, I could left click and hold on that sheet tab and drag the caret up there, that little black caret, to the right of my data sheet, and I've got sheet 3. So that is like a brief flyer. We have um, our scroll bar over here on the right. Okay, we have our top level tabs. And that's probably enough to get you started, just orientation to the Excel environment, kind of getting you warmed up to what we're going to get into chapter 1 with the first Excel model we're going to create together. All right, hope you enjoyed that.